Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning Five here on Friday, July 12th, 2024. I am Dave Biddle. Very happy to be joined by Mr. Jonah Booker. Always good to see you on a Friday, my friend. We got a great show for you. We're going to talk a lot of recruiting. We're going to get JBook's vibes on David Sanders, Vernell Brown III. Unfortunate news with TC Caffey. It's not official yet that he's out for the year, but we're hearing he probably is. Multiple sources have told me that. And credit to OSU Heisman on our Bucknuts front row message board for initially posting that. And, initially Ohio State said there's nothing to it. And then yesterday we got, so multiple sources said TC Caffey likely out for the year with the knee. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what to expect from James Peoples, Sam Williams-Dixon, and much more. Before we get to that, we'll let you know about Mando. I've been telling you guys about Mando, full body deodorant for men. It's fantastic. Simplify travel with Mando's 4-in-1 acidified cleansing bar. It's a 5-ounce bar that does the work of a shampoo, face wash, body wash, and deodorant. You can also use it to create a rich shaving lather. So technically, it's 5-in-1. It's clinically proven to control odor for 24 hours. Mando's 4-in-1 acidified cleansing bar is formulated with a gentle alpha hydroxy acid that stops odor at the source. Regular soap can't do that because the pH is too high. Now, do I have any idea what pH or alpha hydroxy acids are? No, but it just works. A doctor developed it. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, which is what this is, 2 free products of your choice, and free shipping. Luckily, I have a discount code to help you get hooked on my favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code Bucknuts at shopmando.com. SHOPMANDO.com. All right. Now that we're smelling good, let's get down to matters of business. All right. So bad news about TC Caffey. Again, Ohio State hasn't confirmed it, but I mean, they pretty much have. So not good. Now, people are like, you guys are worried about a walk-on running back. Like, life is good, right? I get it that it's a first-world problem. And I get that Ohio State has got the best 1-2 punch at tailback in the country, but they only have 4 scholarship running backs on the roster, JBook, as you know. And TC maybe was going to be bumped up to scholarship. And he was going to be in the mix this year. Unfortunate news about TC Caffey.
Yeah, I hate to hear that. You never want to hear kids getting injured. I know the amount of work that those kids are putting in the winter, in the summer to get their bodies ready for the season. And to get this close, with the season right around the corner, to have an injury that's going to put you out for the year. And I believe TC was on scholarship, Dave. Correct me if I'm wrong, or they really haven't announced it, but there have been a lot of chatter about TC being elevated to a scholarship running back. So they were going to count on him to be someone who's going to be get some touches, especially in these blowout type of situations. And for him to miss the season, Dave, it does make the running back depth chart a little shaky there, especially when you're talking about, you got your 1-2 punch, and then you're relying on 2 true freshmen. And we've seen Ohio State have to go, deep into the bag for running back. I mean, you think about Mitch Rossi against Georgia, Dave. The running back room was beat up so bad that they had to have Mitch Rossi being the running back. And then you look at some of the times last year, Chip Traynor was the only running back at certain points of the time. So there's a history there with Ohio State and the running backs having, nagging injuries. Like they'll finish the game, and then come Thursday, Friday, you're like, they're out for the week. And you're like, what happened between that time? So you're going to see a lot of touches with James Peoples and Sam Williams-Dixon. Neither one of those guys are going to get a red shirt, Dave. The question mark is typically those type of guys, the true freshmen, they make their bones on special teams. How much special teams action will those guys get? Because they're going to get touches.
No doubt about it. Yeah, let's get into that. So what do you expect let's start with James Peoples. He was going to be the number 3 tailback, I think, regardless. Now, right. They said TC was very much in the mix, but I think James Peoples was going to be the number 3 back. I really liked his film coming out, playing against top competition in Texas. I thought he looked good in the spring. What are your expectations for James Peoples as a true freshman this year, as presumably the number 3 back?
Right. Keep in mind, this is going to be a long grind season. So let's just look at the schedule. Okay, you got Akron, you got Western Michigan, you got Marshall, you got Michigan State. Those first 4 weeks, you're going to expect that Ohio State's going to have mop-up duty mid-third, all of fourth quarter. So James Peoples going to get a lot of those touches. You look at those 5 games here, over under 8 carries per game on those ones. I say you're probably right at the mark, probably 8 to 10 touches there, especially when they're trying to get out of there healthy. So you're probably looking at anywhere between, 35 to 40 carries for James Peoples for those first 4 games. Then you throw in Sam Williams-Dixon, probably another 5 to 6 carries each. You got Iowa. How's that going to look? Maybe, depending on, Iowa's offense. That could be a game that's in Columbus on October 5th, that 5th game that you may see some of those younger guys. Then, the schedule starts to get a little tougher. You got Oregon, Nebraska, Penn State. Probably won't see a lot of those true freshmen, those 3 games. Then you got a stretch here as you start to get into November. Purdue, Northwestern, Indiana. All of those games should be absolute routes. Now you're talking about, TC and you're talking about James Peoples and Sam Williams-Dixon. Those guys are probably going to get another 8 to 10 carries, 5 to 8 for Sam Williams-Dixon there. So if I'm guessing, Dave, and you're looking at those, 3 games in November, first 4 games to start the season, talk about 7. I'm saying over under 50 carries for James Peoples, and I would take the over in that situation if we want to just break it down. With that being said, I think Coach Lachlan is having to clean up a lot of the issues with Tony Alford. You look at some of the misses on the recruiting trail there, with Tony, and it's kind of left that depth chart kind of bare. I do think that they would have been wise to bring in a veteran running back. I mean, I think there was one point in the offseason, Dave, there was, was it a local kid from UMass or somewhere like that was getting crystal balls to be a transfer there. And then at the time, it was before Dallin Hayden announced that he was going to enter the transfer portal. So it created all kind of buzz like, hey, what's going on with Dallin Hayden if this kid is getting, crystal balls to Ohio State. And I think that kid was like 1,000-yard back or something. And then nothing ever happened. I don't know what happened. Like, it just kind of just faded away. But if you had that veteran type of presence, a kid who's already rushed for 1,000 yards, having him in the backfield, I would feel a little bit better. And the thing is the importance to the running back room is critical that Trey Henderson and Judkins remain healthy. Because if one of those guys go down, that over under 50 mark that I was saying for James People, clearly that's going to go over. The last thing that you need is to be heading into that Oregon, Nebraska, Penn State game with a hobbled Henderson or a hobbled Judkins. So fingers crossed that those guys can remain healthy.
Yeah, and as we know, I mean, durability has been the issue with Trey. Has not been an issue with Judkins, but he's carried the ball a lot his first 2 years. I just hope if one of those guys can stay healthy all year, I'll be happy. I'm just concerned. I still, as I keep saying, I still have PTSD from the Peach Bowl against Georgia a couple years ago. We're in the college football semifinals, basically the national championship game after TCU just beat Michigan, and Ohio State outplayed them. They're down to like Xavier Johnson at running back and Dallin Hayden a little bit. And they were down to like no running backs.
Mitch Rossi.
Yeah, exactly. Mitch Rossi. I mean, so let's get into this. There was a question about this. I wanted to bring this up anyway. Where do I have it at? So Caleb Downs. Let's get into this. Okay. Jermaine Runnels. How serious is Day going to give carries to Downs? And he says, good morning. Good morning to you, Jermaine. How serious is Day? When he first said it, JBook, I was like, are they really going to do that? Maybe they'll do some window dressing, do it like once or twice here and there. Maybe, and I'm not saying he's going to have a big role. Maybe now it'll be like maybe he'll, every game will be in there, get, for a couple plays here and there. I don't know. But I do think Coach Day wouldn't have said, yeah, it's absolutely a possibility. He wouldn't have lied about it, I don't think. What do you think?
Well, let's start with the initial comment. What did Coach Day say? He said, even when they were recruiting Caleb Downs out of high school, there was initial conversation of him potentially being a two-way player. When they re-recruited him, when he was talking about entering the transfer portal from Alabama, that was one of the things that Caleb Downs expressed. He wanted to be able to have the opportunity to get the football in his hands on offense. Ohio State told him, you come here, we will consider it. We will highly consider it. And that's something that we can potentially try to put some packages together. Now, fast forward, he's here on campus. Ryan Day saying, this is something that we're potentially looking at. So will he be getting carries against Akron? Probably not. But we got Oregon October 12th. I can see Caleb Downs getting 1 to 2 carries against Iowa. And the reason I say that is because it's not going to be a situation where he's going to be getting 7, 8 carries. But you give him 1 to 2 carries, he breaks something off, Dave. Now what happens? Oregon is going to have to spend time game planning for Caleb Downs, because now there's a situation with Oregon. Their defensive coordinator is going to have to say, all right, if Caleb Downs comes in, then you need to be prepared for this, because, you know, this situation, they have this package. You always have to be ready for a situation like that, especially if they put it on tape. Now, is he going to get 20 carries in the season? I don't think so, but I think it's wise to at least give him a couple reps here and there, just in case it's break glass in case of emergency type of situation, to where we are completely depleted at the running back position. Now, with that being said, I do think Caleb Downs is probably the best punt returner on the football team. So if he wants to be able to have the football in his hands, as opposed to just playing strictly all safety, I would love to see him being the primary punt returner, breaking some plays off. Now, Dave, you know, we're getting into fantasy land. So if Caleb Downs is going to be everything that we think he's going to be at the safety position, if he's back there returning some punts and he's making some noise back there returning some punts, and then you start to see him get, you know, maybe 1 or 2, 3 carries a game, and he's doing some damage there, now you're talking about Heisman, Charles Woodson type of, you know, comparison, as somebody said here in the comments. The opportunities are there. Yeah, there you go. The opportunities are there. But you have to be smart about it. It's going to be a long season. We're in uncharted territory when you're talking about the amount of games that these kids are going to be playing. But, you know, it all harps back to Tony Alford leaving this running back room, you know, kind of bare, because if they did, just think, Dave, what this running back room would look like if they didn't get Judkins in the portal and Henderson decided to go to the NFL.
Woo!
Now you're looking at Tony Alford's room. It's like, dude, you freaking absolutely nuked the running back room. And you know, it's a situation that they got incredibly lucky with Judkins, and you're going to have probably the best 1-2 punch in all of college football. But the key is, got to keep them healthy.
All right, Sam Williams-Dixon, presumably the number 4 back. It's hard for me to get a read on him. I mean, he looked great his junior year, but it was against small school competition. Then he goes to Pick North to face tougher competition, which he did, but then he was banged up. Nothing serious, but was banged up for a lot of the year, or at least part of the year, including in the playoffs. He didn't play in the playoffs. What do you expect out of – but he looked good in the spring. What do you expect out of Sam Williams-Dixon?
I think he's a kid that has an opportunity to be really good, Dave. I love Sam Williams-Dixon's game. I think he got a little dog in him. He's a local kid. As you mentioned, went up to, you know, Pick, and he went out there and balled out. Saw him in the spring game, breaking off some runs. He's really shifty. I think he's not going to be where you need him to be when it comes to the pass blocking. So he's not an every down back. 5'11", 203. He's a little on the smaller side than what you want. Hopefully this offseason, that's coming out of the spring, he was around 203. So hopefully in this offseason, you can add on another 5 pounds, maybe just to get his body ready. Do I think he's ready for, you know, major carries in the Big Ten? I don't, but I think he's positioned well to really make a name for himself, because you look at him, Dave, he was a kid initially coming in the recruitment thinking like, okay, he's a potential redshirt candidate that you're going to develop him down the line. All of a sudden now he's going to be thrust right there in the mix. He's going to get, you know, at least, you know, 35, 40 touches this season, maybe more, depending on how, they're handling their business in these games. So I like Sam Williams-Dixon's game. I think he's a heck of a player. I think he's going to be a baller here at Ohio State. Definitely needs to get a little bit stronger in the weight room, continue to work on the fundamentals. But that's what Coach Lachlan here. Coach Lachlan is going to have those boys ready to go and locked in to play some football here at this level. But I think he's going to be someone that definitely, Dave, that they're going to have to rely on. So it's critical to keep him healthy. That's why I said the special teams, Dave, is interesting to me, because usually a Sam Williams-Dixon, James Peoples, you saw Ezekiel Elliott, that clip was circulating when he leveled Raheem Mostert on the kickoff team. I don't know if you can do that right now. I don't know if you can have the luxury to put a Sam Williams-Dixon or James People on the special teams and risk those kids potentially being hurt because the depth in front of them is so thin.
I still don't understand them not getting a running back in the portal, to circle back on that. As you mentioned earlier, there was the kid from UMass, and that just fizzled out. And look, I get it. Like, if they stay healthy, they're more than fine. Like, it's a fantastic running back room. I don't understand, because they went out and got that safety from South Carolina just for depth. They don't plan on playing him. He's going to, because they were like, well, we only have X amount of scholarship safeties on the roster. Okay, fine. But like, at safety, I didn't think that there was an issue there, because they have so many corners that could play safety. Like, if you had to play Calvin Simpson-Hunt at free safety, life wouldn't be too bad. Or if you had to move Lorenzo Styles Jr. to safety, life wouldn't be too bad. So they have corners they could move to safety. Basically, Jordan Hancock's a safety. But like, with running backs, and I guess that maybe because of Caleb Downs, they feel like they didn't need it, and they had TC Caffey at the time. They do have a kid coming in from West Muskingum in Ohio that was runner-up for Mr. Football, Rashid Cisse. I don't know if he's going to be big enough to play running back as a true freshman at Ohio State. So maybe that's what it was, JBook, is they just thought, well, we're good. And by the way, there wasn't anybody really good in the portal. That UMass kid was the best one. And for those that are wondering, the portal is closed now as far as the guys entering the portal. But if you're already in the portal, it's open season. But I've looked in the portal. There's nobody in the that I think would even be an upgrade over Rashid Cisse. So, yeah, I don't understand why they didn't get a running back just for depth.
Yeah, I don't understand it, Dave. I do think it's a roster management mistake by Coach Day, because personally, we've all witnessed the attrition to injury with the running back position over the last several years. I mean, even going back past the Georgia game, that season there, you looked at Trey was constantly in and out. Meatball was constantly in and out. And then Chip Trainum was banged up here and there. And then Master Teague was hurt here and there. Like, somebody, you look over the years, all of the running backs, and that's been the big thing. A lot of people have griped about Mick Marotti and his strength and conditioning program, and people have openly questioned, like, why do we have so many injuries at the running back position? Now, if I'm Coach Day, I'm going into this season knowing what's at stake, knowing that this is a massive year for me as a head coach, especially going against Michigan. I would not feel comfortable going into the season with only 4 scholarship running backs. I would just have too much of a PTSD knowing that over the last several years as the head coach here, we have had durability issues at the running back position for 2 to 3 years straight now. So I'm going to do everything in my power to go and make sure that I get another capable back just in case. But yeah, I personally think it's a roster management issue that they messed up on there, but hopefully it doesn't come back to bite them.
You like my shirt? Be honest.
I like your shirt, man. You get ready to head to the beach or something, man. Like you about to throw on a brim and get you a little cigar, man, and sit back with a cold wind on the rocks, chill. That's what you look like, Dave.
I know. I love it. Chubbies. And, I highly recommend these. And you're right. I wish I would have got this shirt before. I was on the beach a couple weeks ago. I was down in Outer Banks. I know we have a viewer right now in our live chat that's down there in Outer Banks right now. I love it down there. I wish I had this shirt. It's called French Toast Sticks. Absolutely love it. You guys got to get with Chubbies, and we got a great deal for you guys. A lifestyle apparel brand that has no equivalent in all of human history. Chubbies has crafted the most comfortable clothing with the most unique designs ever. and it's near impossible to wear them without being filled with the sense that life truly is a beautiful, awe-inspiring mystery with no fixed destination. So why not look good and feel good along the journey? But no, seriously, Chubbies offers a huge variety of high-quality men's apparel, from super stretchy shorts and swim trunks in 3 inseam lengths to pants, polos, button-down shirts for when you need to hit up your fave weekend brunch spot or hit the beach. When others see you sporting Chubbies in the wild, they're bound to say, oh, wow, that person is wearing Chubbies. And now immediately respect them and think they're cool. We got a great deal for you guys. We're giving our listeners 20% off your order with our exclusive code Bucknuts at chubbiesshorts.com. That's right. For a limited time, our friends at Chubbies are giving our listeners 20% off with the promo code Bucknuts at checkout at chubbiesshorts.com. chubbiesshorts.com. That's 20% off your order with the promo code Bucknuts. Support our show and tell them we sent you. Don't just blend in with the crowd. Stand out with Chubbies. chubbiesshorts.com. 20% off with the code Bucknuts. Bam. There you go. French toast sticks. I recommend it. All right. Well, left Eric's comment up there for about 10 minutes there. Sorry about that, Eric. Maybe Eric enjoyed that I left his comment up there. All right. I want to get to your thoughts on this real quick. If any of the top 4 wide receivers go down this year, so in whatever order, Emeka, Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis. Because I feel like if you're in the top 4, you're going to play a ton, as we know with Heartline. If you're 5th, or 6th, you might be on the outside looking in, except unless second halves of blowouts. But if any of the top 4 go down, who would be the next guy in? Do you think it would be Bryson Rogers? Do you think it'd be Mylan Graham? Do you think it'd be Jayden Ballard? Who's that 5th guy?
I think it's going to be Bryson Rogers, Dave. I thought he had an outstanding spring. He was in the portal, committed back to Ohio State while he was on his official visit to Florida in the portal, which I thought that was kind of fascinating. But I think him coming back was a wise decision. I think, he has all the tools. He has some breakaway speed, Dave, that kind of surprised me. I didn't know he had those type of jets, but I think he's going to be really good. I mean, here we go again, Dave, the Jayden Ballard talk. I mean, we've had this conversation, 4 or 5 years, however long he's been here, 4 years. These are, redshirt junior or something like that.
Yep.
And we're still talking about, Ballard. Like, the one thing that I think frustrates a lot of people is you see the God-given talent that Jayden Ballard has. He has the ability to really pop the top off the defense, stretch the field. You see that athleticism, and you're like, man, this kid could have been in that mode of a Jameson Williams if he can just put it together. And then what, Ryan Davis asked about Jayden Ballard in the spring. What did he say? Consistency. Like, dude, you're 4 years in the program, man. Like, come on. Like, you're starting to be passed up by like some of these freshmen, and you're talking, and the head coach is still saying, hey, we're trying to push him to be more consistent. Like, at some point, the clock is going to strike 12 for Ballard. Like, there has to be some source of sense of urgency from him. Now, he's probably the next guy with him and Bryson Rodgers. I don't think you're probably going to get a whole lot from Kojo. He's been pretty quiet since he's been here, but he's still on the roster. Mylan Graham is another one that you mentioned. Maybe he arrived late on the campus, so he's a little bit behind when it comes to the playbook and the development. So I think those are, we'll be talking about Rudolph, David Adolph. David Adolph is the walk-on kid that's on the depth chart as the third string wide receiver in one of those positions. So I just think that, Bryson Rogers and Jayden Ballard will be the next wave of guys, but there's still question marks around Ballard, and that's the frustrating part. It's like he's been here 4 years. You expect, as an elder statesman with his athletic ability, that he should be right there as a potential pushing to be a starter, to say, hey, I'm the next guy that goes to the NFL. I'm the next guy. But all we're getting from Jayden Ballard are TikTok dancing videos. Like, I think the fans will want to see a little bit more production from him. And if you can get that, you will feel a little bit better about those next wave of guys.
Sounds like my daughters might know who Jayden Ballard is if he's doing dances on TikTok. That's like right up their alley.
Right.
So you guys do know who an Ohio State football player is. All right, we're gonna finish the show talking some recruiting real quick. Vernell Brown's gonna announce a week from Sunday, July 21st. He'll announce again a week from this Sunday. Vernell Brown III will announce. Very talented wide receiver. Seems like Florida leads. I'm gonna get your thoughts on that. And then David Sanders. I'm gonna get your vibes on that as well, JBook. He's gonna announce August 17th. 2 weeks before Ohio State's season opener against Akron. David Sanders will make his announcement. Your vibes on Vernell Brown III and David Sanders Jr.?
I think Vernell stays in Florida, Dave. I think that's one to where he's a Florida legacy kid. So I think he's probably going to stay in state there. When it comes to David Sanders Jr., this is it, Dave. I mean, it comes down to this. You and I have talked about Justin Fry ad nauseum over the last, 2 years and the lack of recruiting. I mean, he has 30 offers out, 22 kids have committed elsewhere. And you look at those offers, Dave, he had a flurry of offers probably in the last couple weeks before official visit season starts. The net was never wide enough, Dave. When you're offering 6 or 7, 8 offensive linemen right before official visit starts, that's like showing up to the party at 2 a.m. in his last call. Like, some of these kids have already been building relationships with coaches a year in advance, and you think you're just going to slide on these kids, this late in the game? Nah, it's not going to happen. So you look at the situation where we're at right now, you got Cook and you got Lowe, 2 in-state linemen right now. He has to get David Sanders Jr. Like, it's imperative. I mean, I know, Berman, one of his podcasts, said that Justin Fry is blatantly aware that the fan base is aware that his recruiting prowess is not where it should be. So if he can get this one, Dave, you're talking about the 2 best tackles in all of, high school recruiting right now, the 1-2 punch there at tackle. But if he misses on it, I don't know where they turn. I mean, there's been some smoke out there about Josh Petty. I'm not buying that. I think he goes to Florida State. That's where his sister is at. But right now, Dave, it's David Sanders or bust. I mean, if he gets him, that's going to be one of the biggest gets, probably since Paris Johnson. When you're talking about offensive linemen, and Paris Johnson was even in state, but being able to go get a big fish from down south. Tennessee's going to do everything that they can. Some of the numbers that I've been hearing, Dave, out there when it comes to Tennessee and NIL, you're talking about quarterback type of money that they're trying to offer him. I've talked to people, that are close to what Ohio State's willing to, put a package together. They feel really confident. I think Ohio State closes this one, Dave. Maybe I'm being optimistic, but I think Ohio State closes the deal with David Sanders Jr. And that right there will probably, I think, push this class up to, 315. You're knocking on the door to the magical 320 mark on the 24/7 composite when it comes to class rankings. You get David Sanders. They're looking to probably take 28-29 this class. If they can get to that 28-29, they're going to go past 320, Dave, and it's going to go down as one of the best classes on paper in Ohio State history. But David Sanders is the one, because they're not going to get Trey McNutt on the 9th, when he commits on July 19th. I think Trey McNutt goes to Oregon, so you're probably going to miss there.
I'm with you, man. I think they're going to get David Sanders Jr. I do. That's my vibe as well. I loved it. And I was going to mention, because you mentioned on Bucknuts what you just said as far as Ohio State's NIL collectives are feeling pretty confident too. So, yeah. And as you just mentioned, I think that's hugely important. I know you're just not opining about that. You're hearing that from people within those collectives that would absolutely know. So that's really good news. And I don't think, real quick on this, I don't think, as long as the NIL is good enough, I don't think David Sanders Jr. is the type that's, whoever gives me the biggest bag is where I'm going to go. Now, Ohio State's NIL has to be right, but if Tennessee tops whatever Ohio State does, I'm not that concerned about it with him. I think it can't be ridiculous. He's got to be taken care of, and I think he will be.
I'll share this, and you mentioned that I did put that on Bucknuts that they feel very confident. Usually when I'm talking to those guys and I hear something, they're not overly bullish when it comes to recruits. They just kind of, they play it by the fences. Like, we're doing really well, NIL wise, like, maybe we can get this kid or, maybe not. When they start feeling confident about a prospect, Dave, that's when I take notice. They feel confident about David Sanders. So I think that they're in a great position there. Now, here's the honest truth. Those guys in the collective, they can get this recruitment down to the 3-yard line. We're over a month out from David Sanders making that announcement. We have to rely on Justin Fry to push this recruitment into the end zone. Yes. They got the ball down to the 3. Justin Fry, we need you to hold on or push this thing in, from the 3 to win this recruiting battle, because it would be a huge monkey off his back if he can, get it done here. I think he can. I think they're going to get it done. And then maybe that's just me being optimistic, but, talking to people, I feel really good about it. I think the medical piece with his major, Dave, setting him up, meeting the deans of the medical department at Ohio State, game planning how he's going to be able to come here and really specialize in his medical field that he wants to. I think that is what is going to win out at the end of the day, as opposed to, hey, I can make a ton of money at Tennessee. I'm going to get, taken care of extremely well at Ohio State. But at Ohio State Medical Facility, which is one of the best in the country, I will be able to major in what I want to specialize in. I think that's going to be huge. And then I just think that, with the relationship that they built with him, you can never understate it. Like, hey, Justin Fry, when it comes to this recruitment, Dave, he's done everything that he can to win this battle. I don't think there's much more that he can actually do at this point in the game. He just needs to push it in, get that win, man. This is your recruitment to win. Like, this is the baby right here. Like, you win this one. Now you got 2 elite tackles. You feel good about Cook. Now you can spend these next several months reevaluating some of the seniors' tape, because they want 5 offensive linemen, Dave. Because he was so late handing out offers, it's going to be a grind to try to get 5 offensive linemen in this class. So if you get Sanders, you feel good about where you're at. Now you can take the time, reevaluate some kids. You can reevaluate some kids' senior tape, and then at that point, then you can say, okay, these are the kids that we like.
Last thing, real quick. Didn't mean to keep you this long, but Bill Kurelic's doing his chat on Bucknuts right now. It started last night. He's doing it right now. Great stuff. I highly recommend you guys get on Bucknuts and read the Dean's chat. He was asked by one of our subscribers, any chance any of our 2025 commits could flip elsewhere? And Bill said he doesn't think anybody's going to flip that's committed, but he said a couple of guys to keep an eye on, 3 guys to maybe keep an eye on, possibly Zahir Mathis, Naheem Offord, and he said perhaps Tarvis Alford. Again, he doesn't think any of them are going to flip. He said just something to keep your eye on. What's your take on that? You worried about any possible flips?
I'm not worried about any possible flips with this class, but the one that I'm keeping an eye on is them flipping Malik Autry from Auburn.
Yep.
That right there, that's the final infinity stone into Thanos' glove. If you can get the big boy 6'6", 320 out of the deep south, one technique that can just move like no other, and you put him on that defensive line with the other prospects in this defensive class, I'll lose my mind, Dave. That's Dwayne Long, naked jaunt territory, Dave. If you can get Malik Autry to go in this class, man, that one right there is – because you can't get those type of kids up north, typically to cross the Mason-Dixon line from down south. You're going into deep south Opelika, Alabama, Dave, to get Malik Autry, who's a Auburn commit, has been committed there for several months now. And keep in mind, last night, Malik Autry on his Instagram was posting pictures of him on his Ohio State official visit. He's followed the Bucknuts crew. He's even followed Jeremiah Smith's tattoo artist in Columbus. Now this is why I say, Dave, this is why I said Malik Autry, they have a legitimate chance. You got to be deep into the trenches to find out who the tattoo artist is for the team in Columbus. If you're not interested in flipping, why are you worried about all of that? I think that they have a legitimate shot to flip him, and if they do, and I will say this, McNutt's probably going to commit to Oregon on the 19th. Our Bill Kurelic this week said he spoke to McNutt, and McNutt said that he's going to be taking an official visit. He may take an official visit to Columbus and attend some of the games. So if he's going to be back on campus, that one's not over. And then I'm not 100% convinced that the recruitment with Brew is over with either.
Your fans are coming out in droves. I love it. They want you to work for Ohio State. Hey, Mark Pantoni, if you're listening, I mean, JBook's got a good job, but he could probably be a consultant. Not that Pantoni needs it, but JBook is fantastic. I agree with our listeners. Great stuff as always, my friend. Didn't mean to keep you this long. Great stuff from Mr. Jonah Booker. Absolutely great stuff. The season's going to be here before we know it, man. I'm going to be in Indy for Big Ten Media Days a week from Monday. Oh, man, it's almost here.
Hey, one more, Dave. Turbo, the running back out, Turbo, the kid that's committed to Alabama. That's one that could potentially flip to us as well.
There you go. I like how you're not worried about anybody flipping away from Ohio State. You're like, no, we're not worried about that. We're talking about who's going to come to Ohio State, who's going to flip the Urban Meyer style, the spatula. Who are we going to flip?
Pull the spatula out. Pull the spatula out.
Right.
Hey, it's about time we go on the offensive, Dave, because I feel like we've been out here fighting, man, with our backs against the wall, just trying to hold on to commits and stuff. Hey, we need to be out there with the spatula, flipping some people.
Exactly. And I got to give a shout out to my guy, Mark Neal, who coined that phrase. He called Urban Meyer the spatula. He did it live on the air, and he already came up with it. He did it live on the air, and at first it didn't click. He's like, because he's always flipping high recruits. And I'm like, oh, that's a great nickname. Mark Neal, the czar of Dayton radio, and former co-host of Bucknuts Live with Dan Rubin. So I got to give Mark Neal credit for the spatula nickname. Great stuff from JBook.
I love that name. I love that name.
Ryan Day needs to get his spatula out. Let's go. Fantastic stuff from JBook. Thanks to all of you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Couldn't thank you guys enough. Hope everyone has a great day and a great weekend.